What are you envisioning? What do you see? Well, for most Christians in America today, they see someone that looks a lot like this. I went to Catholic schools my whole life, and in our school, every single classroom had this picture. And most of the grandmothers that I would go and visit, they all had this picture of Jesus or something similar to it up in their house. And maybe you did too. I think most Christians in America today, when they think about Jesus, they think about someone that looked like that. But this guy never existed. This guy is a hoax. This is fake news. I think this t-shirt says it best. Jesus was not white. Jesus wasn't white. Now, about 15 years ago, some of the greatest Jesus scholars in all the world and some of the world's smartest anthropologists got together to envision what Jesus really looked like. And those great minds came up with this. This is what Jesus looked like.
You big dummy.
Jesus wasn't white. And he didn't speak English. And he was Jewish.
You big dummy.
Death Street.
He says, I saw one like a son of man. And his description of that son of man is very, very similar to the descriptions we see in the book of Daniel, when Daniel saw one like a son of man. But in this particular case, this one has descriptions that give very clear, while not direct, indication that the one whom John sees is Jesus himself. Jesus represents himself as the first and the last, and gives an indication that there is a divinity looking over the churches, because he speaks of the 7 lampstands that this vision of Jesus is among, and 7 stars being held in the hands of this one like a son of man. And at the very end of this vision it says that the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches, and the 7 stars are the spirits or the angels that look over those churches. So already we're seeing a sense of angels looking over these churches in the midst of their tribulation. But this overall vision that John has right at the very beginning of the Revelation is one of Jesus Christ. And what are the details of that vision? This one like a son of man is wearing an ankle-length robe with a sash of gold, hair as snow white as wool, eyes blazing like fire, feet gleamed like polished brass. He describes his voice as one like the rush of roaring waters. In his right hand he holds the 7 stars, which are those angels that look over the churches. A sharp 2-edged sword comes out of his mouth, and his face shines like the sun.
Death Street.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Talk to Reggie in British Columbia, Canada, listening on CHRB. Hi, Reggie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed, thank you. I just have a quick comment.
Sure.
As a fervent believer in Yahshua HaMashiach, the creator and maker of all things, I'm finding that there's a lot of so-called Christians that are doing Christ a disservice by painting him as a white male, and the churches I've even asked my pastor. I left my church because I asked him, and the Holy Spirit directed me to ask him, what color was Christ? And he said, well, white, of course. That's what made him so unique. Now, that's not biblical. It's from the house of David, and he was born a Hebrew for a reason. That everyone would come under the same grace and come under the same love of Christ, because he has no respect of person. Am I correct?
You're absolutely right on. And in fact, you've said it as eloquently as it could be said. The historical Jesus was neither white nor black.
You big dummy.
He was Jewish.
Depth Street.
He just sat there looking at me, and he lifted up his hand, and above his hand I saw the world. And it wasn't a model of the world. It was, I knew as I saw it that it was the actual world. It was only after I started to gather all of these attributes of the person that I was looking at that I made the connection and realized who he was. And I realized I was looking at Jesus.
Bruh.
Depth Street.
And I realized that Jesus was looking at me.
Depth Street.
Mama, couldn't we at least let Black Jesus hang alongside?
Forget it. The only Jesus I know is him, and the one thing he don't need is a partner.
Mama, how do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. They were supposed to be black.
I bet they were. If ever people were lost, we're it.
Now just hush up, both of you. This picture has been in my family for as long as I can remember. When I was a baby, I don't know what I saw first. My mama, my papa, or this Jesus. Now he's the one I know and love, so let's close the subject. Jesus was black, the Bible would have said so.
But it does say so.
What are you talking about?
I read about it. It's in Revelations chapter 1, verse 14. I read about it in Muhammad Speaks. It says, his hair is like wool, and his eyes are like flame of fire.
Oh, Lord have mercy. It sure do say that, don't it?
And see, Mama, look at that hair, like wool, ain't it? And look at them eyes, red like fire.
Yeah, they sure is. Junior, how come you decided to paint this?
I don't know. All of a sudden, I just had divine thoughts on my mind.
And for JJ, that's a first.
What, having divine thoughts?
No, having a mind.
I guess I ought to be grateful for JJ having Jesus on his mind in any color.
Then we can hang him on the wall, Mama?
Well, now,
Please, Mama.
All right. But just for Black History Week. After that, he comes down.
Depth Street.